Welcome to the English Prep Podcast. Today we're tackling something I hear about all the time from listeners, that feeling, of just racing against the clock in academic reading tests,
Yeah.
like IELTS or TOEFL.
Ah, yes, the classic dilemma.
Exactly. It's like you can understand the text if you go slowly, right?
Yeah.
But then you speed up because you have to, and suddenly the meaning just sort of evaporates.
It feels like a trade-off, comprehension or speed.
Yeah, and you feel forced to choose. So this deep dive is for everyone wanting to find that sweet spot, that balance between reading quickly enough and actually understanding what you read.
And that's exactly what we're aiming for. It's not just about reading faster, is it? It's really about reading smarter.
Smarter, I like that.
Think of it maybe like training for a sport. You wouldn't expect perfect performance right away. Reading well for these exams, it's a skill you can absolutely train. Your eyes, your brain, your reading habits, they can all get much more efficient.
Okay, so it's trainable. That's encouraging.
Yeah, definitely. So our goal today, our mission, is to really unpack some proven, practical ways to boost that reading speed while keeping your comprehension high. Maybe even improving it.
All right, let's get into it then. Let's unpack this whole exam situation. We know they demand speed, but what are we actually up against? What do IELTS and TOEFL reading sections really look like? It's not casual reading, obviously.
Oh, absolutely not. These are academic reading tests. They're specifically designed to see if you can handle complex university-level type material.
Right.
So the passages, they're quite long, usually somewhere between, say, 600 and 700 words each.
Wow, okay.
And yeah, they're dense, packed with complex ideas, complex sentences, and that specific kind of academic vocabulary.
There's a lot of text per passage. How does that square with the timing? That must be where the pressure cooker effect comes in.
That's exactly it. Let's break down the clock. For IELTS Academic, you're looking at 3 passages, 40 questions total. And you get exactly 60 minutes for the whole thing.
60 minutes for all of that.
Which averages out to only about 20 minutes per passage, including reading and answering the questions.
Okay, that's tight.
It is. And for TOEFL IBT, it's similar, usually 3 or 4 passages, about 10 questions each. The total time varies a bit, maybe 54 to 72 minutes, depending on the specific test format you get.
So bottom line, tons of text, not much time.
Precisely. The sheer volume combined with those strict time limits, well, it creates intense pressure. If you try that slow, careful, word-by-word reading for everything, you're simply going to run out of time. There's no doubt about it.
Which means faster strategies aren't just nice, they're essential.
Absolutely essential. You have to find ways to be more efficient.
Okay, that makes sense. And it really brings up that common habit, maybe the biggest hurdle, reading word by word. I even catch myself doing it sometimes, especially with difficult stuff. Is tackling that the first step?
It's definitely one of the biggest bottlenecks. Reading word by word, it just puts a hard limit on your speed. And actually, it can sometimes even make comprehension harder because your brain is working so hard just decoding individual words instead of grasping the bigger ideas.
So what's the alternative? How do skilled readers do it?
Well, proficient readers, and this includes native speakers, often without even thinking about it, they tend to be something called chunk reading.
Chunk reading.
Yeah. Instead of focusing on one word at a time, you train your eyes to take in groups of words, maybe 3 to 5 words, as a single unit.
Can you give an example? I'm trying to picture that.
Sure. Let's take a simple phrase. The main purpose of the experiment was reading word by word. That's like 6 separate stops for your eyes, 6 fixations.
Right.
But with chunking, you might read it as the main purpose of the experiment was. Now, maybe that's only 2 or 3 fixations. Your eyes cover more ground with each stop.
Ah, I see. You're taking in meaningful phrases.
Exactly. Your brain recognizes the main purpose as a concept, not just 3 separate words. It's much more efficient. We process information in chunks naturally, so this aligns with how our brains actually like to work. It helps connect ideas faster, too.
That makes a lot of sense. It sounds smoother. How do we, practice that? How do we train our eyes to do it?
Well, you can start quite physically. Use a pencil, or even just your finger, to guide your eyes across the text, trying to sweep across groups of words rather than stopping on each one.
Like forcing your eyes to move faster.
Sort of, but it's more about encouraging smoother movement and wider focus. Start with easier texts, things you find interesting, where the vocabulary isn't a struggle. Then, as you get comfortable, gradually apply it to more academic passages.
Okay. And what about rereading? I do that a lot.
Ah, yes, backtracking. That's another huge time killer. It often comes from a lack of confidence, right? You worry you missed something. You need to actively work on reducing it. Consciously tell yourself, read it once, trust your brain. It takes practice, but it's crucial.
Okay, so train the eyes, reduce backtracking. Got it.
Yeah.
But you mentioned strategies, plural. It's not just about moving eyes faster, is it? I always thought speed reading meant just, skimming everything.
That's a really common misconception, and just skimming everything in these tests would be a disaster for your score. You
Yeah.
actually need two distinct skills in your toolbox, skimming and scanning.
Okay, skimming and scanning. People use those terms a lot. What's the actual difference, especially in an exam context?
Great question. Skimming is reading quickly to get the general idea, the main points, the overall topic, how the passage is structured. Like you might take just 2 or 3 minutes before looking at any questions to skim the whole text.
Just to get the gist.
Exactly. To understand, okay, paragraph 1 introduces the problem, paragraph 2 discusses causes, paragraph 3 talks about effects. It gives you a mental map of the text.
Right. And scanning, how's that different?
Scanning is completely different. It's like using a search function in your brain. You're not reading for general meaning. You're looking for specific pieces of information, names, dates, numbers, specific keywords from the question.
Ah, like finding a needle in a haystack, but you know what the needle looks like.
Perfect analogy. If a question asks, in what year did the research begin? You scan the text specifically looking for 4-digit numbers or maybe names of researchers mentioned in the question. You don't read everything around it carefully at first.
So the strategy is skim first, then scan.
Generally, yes. Skim first to get that map. Then, when you read a question, you'll often know roughly where in the passage the answer is likely to be. That makes your scanning much faster and more targeted. You go straight to the relevant section to find the specific detail.
Okay, that makes strategic sense. Skim for the map, scan for the treasure. But what about those roadblocks, the killer vocabulary words? You hit one you don't know and suddenly your speed just tanks.
Absolutely. It can feel like hitting a brick wall, can't it? And it causes a lot of anxiety and wasted time. Stopping for every single unfamiliar word is probably the single biggest speed bump for many learners.
So what do? Just skip them?
Not necessarily skip, but you definitely don't need to panic or stop completely. Here's the key realization. You don't need to understand every single word to understand the passage or answer the questions correctly.
Really?
Really. The crucial skill here is learning to guess the meaning from the context, inferring meaning.
Okay, easier said than done under pressure, right?
It takes practice, for sure. One foundational thing is, outside of timed practice, actively work on building your vocabulary, especially the academic word list, the AAWL. That reduces the number of unknown words you'll face.
Makes sense. Build the arsenal.
Exactly. But you'll still encounter unfamiliar words. So the technique is, don't panic, look at the words around it, look at the sentence structure, what's the overall topic of the paragraph.
Use the clues.
Precisely. Like imagine the sentence, the prolonged drought devastated the farmers' crops, leading to widespread famine. Maybe you don't know devastated,
Okay.
but you see drought, which is bad, lack of water. You see crops, the food plants, and you see famine, which is extreme hunger. What must devastated mean in that context?
Something really bad, like destroyed or ruined.
Exactly, damaged, badly, destroyed.
Yeah.
You don't need the dictionary definition. You just need enough sense of the meaning to keep reading and understand the sentence's point. Focus on the impact the word has in the sentence.
Okay, so train yourself not to freeze up. Look for clues. That requires the brain to be really switched on, doesn't it? It's not just eye movements.
You've hit it exactly. This leads us to the idea of active reading. Passive reading, just letting your eyes glide over the words, is where comprehension breaks down and you forget things immediately.
So you drift off, basically.
Yeah, your mind wanders. Active reading means your brain is constantly engaged, interacting with the text. It's like having a quiet conversation with the author.
How do you do active reading? What does that look like in practice?
There are several great techniques. One is asking yourself questions as you read. What's the main point here? How does this connect to the previous paragraph? What's the author's argument?
Okay, like interrogating the text.
In a way, yes. Another technique is highlighting or underlining keywords, not whole sentences, just the really crucial nouns, verbs, concepts. Or, after finishing a paragraph, take literally 5 seconds to summarize its main point in your head, in your own words.
Like a mental sticky note.
Exactly. That act of summarizing forces your brain to process and synthesize the information. It makes it stick. And crucially, this active engagement helps maintain speed because you understand better as you go, meaning less need to stop and reread out of confusion.
So it boosts comprehension and helps speed.
Paradoxically, yes.
Yeah.
Investing that little bit of mental energy pays off in overall efficiency.
Okay, this is making sense. We're reading actively using skimming and scanning. What about the questions themselves? In the exam, are all questions worth the same amount of effort?
That's a fantastic point for strategy. No, definitely not all questions are created equal in terms of the reading skill they require. You need to prioritize.
How so?
Well, think about fact-based questions. One's asking for a specific name, a date, a number, a definition that's stated directly in the text. Often you can find the answer just by scanning.
Quick find.
Right. But then you have inference questions, or questions about the author's attitude or opinion. Those often require you to locate the relevant part of the text, maybe using skimming, and then read that section more carefully, reading between the lines sometimes.
They take more time and deeper reading.
Exactly. You need to adjust your approach based on the question type.
And what happens if you just get stuck on one really hard question? It feels like quicksand for your time.
It absolutely is quicksand. It's
Yeah.
one of the most common ways people run out of time. I remember working with a student who spent nearly 5 minutes on one really tricky inference question.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and by the time they gave up and moved on, they were flustered, behind schedule, and it negatively impacted their performance on the rest of the questions.
So the advice is,
Don't get bogged down. If a question feels incredibly difficult, or you've spent more than, say, a minute or maybe 90 seconds on it and you're getting nowhere, make your best guess or mark it to come back to if you have time at the end. Move on. Answer the easier ones first. Secure those points. It's crucial time management.
that's hard to do mentally, but sounds critical. And thinking about the whole test, reading 3 or 4 long, dense passages back to back, that sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting. Mental fatigue is a huge factor, and it's often underestimated. People don't just fail because they lack skills. Sometimes their brain just gets tired halfway through.
Like hitting a wall in a marathon.
Exactly like that, which means you need to build mental stamina.
How do you train for that?
The best way is to practice doing full reading sections under timed conditions. Don't just practice one passage and stop. If you're doing IELTS prep, sit down and do all 3 passages in 60 minutes straight. For TOEFL, do the full 3 or 4 passages in the allotted time.
Simulate the real thing.
You have to. Train your brain to maintain focus and process complex information for that entire duration. Just like a runner increases their distance over time, you need to build up your brain's endurance for that sustained cognitive load.
Makes sense. And related to stamina, I guess, is focus. In our world of notifications and distractions, keeping your mind on a dense academic text for 20 minutes straight, let alone 60, that's tough.
It's incredibly tough, and any loss of focus, even for a few seconds, means your reading speed plummets and you have to reread, losing more time.
So concentration training, is that a thing?
Absolutely. Treat focus like a muscle. Start with short, intense reading sessions, say 15-20 minutes. During that time, 0 distractions. Phone off, notifications silenced, just you and the text.
Force yourself to stay logged in.
Yes. And then gradually increase that time. Work your way up until you can comfortably maintain concentration for the full 60 or 70 minutes required for the test. Also, try to practice in a quiet environment sometimes to minimize external distractions while you train your internal focus.
Okay, focus practice. Now, we've talked a lot about speed, but let's circle back to accuracy. Is there a danger of pushing speed too much?
Oh, definitely. That's the critical balancing act. Speed without accuracy is useless in these exams because wrong answers get you 0 points no matter how fast you read.
Right, you could finish early but fail.
Precisely. So a good rule of thumb I suggest is this. Let's say you're currently reading at 150 words per minute and getting about 85% accuracy. Don't push to 250 WPM until you're confident you can maintain that high accuracy at the faster speed.
Accuracy comes first.
Accuracy must come first. Aim consistently for over 80% correct answers in your practice. As your skills improve, as chunking becomes more natural, as you get better at context clues, your speed will increase naturally while maintaining that accuracy. Don't sacrifice comprehension for raw speed.
Quality over quantity. That's a really important reminder. Okay, so we're practicing all these techniques. Are there any tools or tech that can help with this? And how do we actually know if we're getting better?
Good questions. Yes, technology can definitely help. There are apps out there, like Spreeder or Read Theory, designed to help you practice speed reading and chunking, often with built-in WPM calculators.
Okay.
And many online IELTS and TOEFL practice platforms now have integrated timers and track your performance, which is great for simulating test conditions and seeing your progress.
What about that shadow reading you mentioned?
Ah, yes, shadow reading. It's a powerful technique. You basically get an audio recording of an academic text and try to read the text aloud simultaneously, matching the speaker's pace.
So you're speaking along with the audio.
Exactly. It forces you to read faster than you might normally, helps with the rhythm and flow of academic English, and connects the sound, sight, and meaning of words. It can be really effective for both speed and comprehension.
Interesting. And measuring progress, how crucial is that?
Absolutely crucial for improvement and motivation. Keep a simple reading journal. Every time you do timed practice, note down the date, the text, your reading time, or calculate WPM if you can, and most importantly, your accuracy, the percentage of questions you answered correctly.
So you can see the trend.
Exactly. You can see, okay, my speed went up this week, but my accuracy dipped, so I need to focus back on comprehension. Or, wow, my accuracy stayed high even when I pushed my speed. Seeing those numbers improve over time is incredibly validating and shows you the strategies are working. Set goals, maybe increase WPM by 10 each week while keeping accuracy above 80%.
That makes it very concrete.
Okay.
This has been incredibly useful, really practical stuff. So just to kind of wrap up the main message here. Yeah. Improving reading speed and accuracy for these tough exams, it's not magic.
Not at all. It's about strategy. It's about consistent practice and applying these techniques like chunking, skimming, scanning, active reading, managing vocabulary, doing it deliberately.
And the payoff isn't just the exam score, right? What does this mean for listeners beyond test day?
Oh, the skills you build here are fundamental for so much more. Being able to read complex material efficiently and effectively. That's crucial for university study textbooks, research papers. It's vital in many professions, reports, articles, even just getting through your emails faster.
It's really an investment in future academic and professional success.
Absolutely. You're not just learning to pass a test, you're developing a core communication skill that will serve you well for years to come. It really prepares you for what comes next.
That's a great perspective.
And it leads to a final thought, really. With the right approach, with consistent practice of these strategies, you can walk into that IELTS or TOEFL exam room feeling confident. Confident that you have enough time, confident in the answers you're choosing.
That feeling alone must be worth a lot.
It makes a huge difference. So maybe the question for you, listening right now, is, based on everything we've discussed, what's the one small strategic change you're going to make to your reading practice this week? Starting today. What's your first step?
A great question to ponder. Thank you so much for breaking all that down.
My pleasure. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.